Hey guys, there are games that might not have the most advanced graphics, the plot may not be perfect, and sometimes the gameplay isn't at its best. But you find yourself wanting to forgive all that if the developers have really put in the effort and created an immersive atmosphere. In this video, we've compiled what we believe are the 50 most atmospheric games released in the last 20 years. But first, here are the winners of our previous giveaway. The Steam keys for High on Life are yours, and I'll reach out to you after this video. For the next giveaway, I've purchased 4 keys for Afterimage, an excellent Metroidvania with an anime style. By the way, I buy the giveaway games from Instant Gaming, where you can find a huge selection of games at great prices with handy filters for quick searches like by price. The link is in the description. At the end of the video, you'll find out how to enter the giveaway for these 4 Steam keys. I'll start with Shadow of the Colossus. Some works are rightfully considered timeless, and Shadow of the Colossus is one of them. Released in 2005, the game amazed players with its colossal giants and the fact that all of this could even work on the PlayStation 2. The game sets the tone with mysteries right from the opening cutscene. A young man carries his deceased companion across mountains and fields to a mysterious temple where a shadowy entity promises to help resurrect her. To achieve this, the hero must defeat 16 colossi. There are no ordinary enemies or side quests here. It's just the hero and the towering colossi that stand in his way, with each encounter feeling more like a complex puzzle than a traditional battle. Every fight with a colossus is a true test. You'll have to track them, devise a strategy, consider the terrain, and use your horse to gain an advantage. Journey. This is a game unlike any other, devoid of words yet filled with music, an inexpressible atmosphere, and emotions. It's a journey where you and countless other players head toward an unknown goal. There are no dialogues or complex puzzles. Just glide across the sands, enjoy the breathtaking landscapes, and move toward the towering mountain on the horizon. For some, Journey will be a story about the hardships of life's journey, where the main focus is striving toward a goal. Others will see it as a beautiful sketch of travel through a whimsical world. Either way, it's a game everyone should experience. The Stillness of the Wind. One by one, everyone has left the once bustling village for the city. Everyone except Talma. In her old age, she leads a simple, solitary life, day by day tending to her farm, making cheese, collecting eggs, cooking meals, growing vegetables, and trading supplies with an old friend. Each day lasts only a few minutes. You must decide what you need to accomplish. The grandmother is no longer young, and with each passing day, she grows weaker, with limited energy. As time goes on, wolves, bad weather, and sorrowful letters add to the challenges. This game captivates with its calm and measured music, pleasant graphics, and melancholic mood, while immersing you in the atmosphere of endless solitude. Behind all this lies a deep message about the fleeting nature of time and the happy moments of an irretrievable past. The Path. A reimagined take on the classic tale of Little Red Riding Hood. This game doesn't have monsters to fight or complex puzzles to solve. You meet 6 girls, each of whom is sent by their mother to visit their sick grandmother, whose house, as expected, lies in the darkest corner of the forest. The mother warns them sternly not to stray from the path, as evil wolves roam the woods. At the beginning of the journey, you choose one of the girls, each with her own personality, fears, and thoughts. After choosing, you decide whether to stick to the path or explore the woods, where the girl will face her own temptation. Every encounter and detail carries a hidden meaning, which is revealed after completing the story for each girl, eventually forming a complete picture. Karma, Incarnation 1. This arcade point-and-click adventure game, with its original humor and puzzles, tells the story of a creature named Pip, who is reincarnated as a worm in a surreal world after his death. The story is based on the principle of karma. Every action of the protagonist has consequences, causing him to transform for better or worse. Since our character takes the form of a worm, bad actions make him even more grotesque. The uglier he becomes, the less the inhabitants of this world will interact with him. Lack of communication with other characters leads to the loss of quests and an undesirable turn in the story. SOMA, a psychological sci-fi horror game from the creators of Amnesia. After arriving at a research center for an experimental procedure, the protagonist wakes up 100 years later at the bottom of the ocean. Here, in the walls of an underwater station, he must hide from a deranged AI and attempt to send the remnants of humanity into space. SOMA tackles deep philosophical questions, captivates with its atmosphere, and shocks with its narrative revelations. Fans of games with a philosophical undertone should definitely not miss this one. Cradle, a first-person sci-fi quest with an open world, set in a futuristic world after a devastating virus has wiped out life on the planet. However, humans have learned to transfer their consciousness into android bodies. At the heart of the story is the relationship between the protagonist and a mechanical girl, who, through mysterious circumstances, find themselves alone in a desolate landscape. The player's task is to restore the lost functions of the mechanical body of his companion and uncover the mystery of the abandoned amusement park. This is a highly atmospheric, philosophical game with an intriguing plot. Hellblade series. This is one of those rare games that truly impresses. While its gameplay doesn't stand out among its genre peers, the story and its execution are unlike anything you've seen. The main character must traverse through hell in every sense of the word to save her beloved. Senua suffers from schizophrenia, constantly hearing voices in her head, experiencing hallucinations, and having panic attacks. The mental disorder is portrayed so authentically that you cannot doubt its reality. Moreover, this madness is different from the comical insanity often seen in video games. It is genuinely terrifying and captivating. Rain World. In this game, you play as a creature called a slugcat, who, along with its family, lives on a planet with post-apocalyptic landscapes and an unstable ecosystem. A relentless downpour separates you from your family, leaving you in a world full of strange creatures and dangers. Your goal is to reunite with your loved ones. Most of the game involves exploring the bleak world, full of secrets and perils, while escaping and hiding from predators. At times, you'll need to seek shelter from the heavy rains that wash away everything in their path. This War of Mine, a side-scrolling survival simulator that tells the story of a group of civilians trying to survive in a city during war. You control multiple survivors as they struggle to endure the hardships of war. The gameplay is divided into two phases, day and night. During the day, you must manage your shelter and interact with other characters, while at night, you venture into the city in search of food and medicine, which are always in short supply. Pathologic 2, a psychological survival game set in a grim town ravaged by the plague. The arriving protagonist must not only stop the epidemic, but also uncover the town's mysteries. Pathologic 2 doesn't guide you on how to play. Instead, it forces you to figure things out on your own. You'll need to communicate with the residents, explore the surroundings, and make tough decisions. It's a time-based game, giving you roughly 10 in-game days, and no matter what you do, the game will end when time runs out. Stalker Trilogy, a popular series of first-person role-playing shooters set in the Chernobyl exclusion zone, offering a vast open world to explore. You complete various quests, search for artifacts, and fight mutants and other enemies. The ever-present clouds gradually turning into stormy skies, combined with realistic post-apocalyptic landscapes, create a dark and autumnal atmosphere. Calvino Noir. Set in 1930s Vienna, You play as a thief who gets unintentionally involved in a dangerous adventure while carrying out a task. You're aided by 2 assistants, each with unique abilities that must be used strategically. Armed only with a flashlight, you sneak through various areas, solving puzzles and avoiding guards. Most of the time, you'll control 3 characters, hiding one and then switching to another to advance. The game's biggest strengths are its story and the beautifully recreated noir-style atmosphere of the 1930s. Heavy Rain, a sad and gripping story about the life of Ethan, an architect who faces a personal tragedy. You control several characters, each conducting their own investigation. Every character is unique and influences the story in different ways. The game is presented in dark, dramatic tones and plays out like an interactive movie. The atmosphere is so immersive that if you play it on a rainy day, stepping outside might make you expect to see an origami figure or an orchid. A Plague Tale series, a dark stealth action adventure set in medieval Paris. The main characters, a brother and sister, are on the run from the Inquisition. They must navigate through war-torn, plague-ridden France, avoiding inquisitors and hordes of plague rats. While the story is engaging, the real charm comes from the medieval setting with mystical elements. Inquisition, alchemy, madness, it's all here in full force. A must-play for fans of narrative-driven games. Draugen, a mystical detective walking simulator based on Scandinavian myths and legends. The main character, an American traveler, comes to Norway in search of his missing sister and soon finds himself entangled in a series of mysterious events that he must unravel. Draugen offers an intriguing story with unexpected twists, enhanced by an atmospheric autumn setting and stunning views of the Norwegian fjords. The relationship between the protagonist and his companion is also well developed. Abzu, a visually stunning game with simple gameplay and no dialogue. You relax as you swim through and explore the ocean, all while listening to a soothing soundtrack. Everything in this game is designed for relaxation and enjoyment. It's the perfect choice after intense action games or multiplayer battles. In contrast to those, Abzu offers a true sense of calm, and you can complete the game and earn all achievements in about 3 hours. Aliens: Fireteam Elite, a cooperative shooter set in the Alien universe, where a squad of space marines faces off against the most dangerous monsters in the galaxy. You'll experience an impressive movie-like atmosphere, intuitive controls, highly tense gameplay, for lengthy campaigns, and 5 character classes. While it doesn't bring much new to the genre, it's a solid game where you can run, upgrade weapons and mods, and have a good time playing co-op with friends. Chernobylite. The game features a compelling story, intriguing characters, detailed locations, and a mysterious atmosphere. Empty playgrounds and creaking floors in abandoned buildings. It's one of the few games that allows players to wander through the Chernobyl exclusion zone and fully immerse themselves in its eerie ambience. The supernatural elements are represented by strange monsters and creepy dolls, but there are also soldiers, and the game encourages stealth-based gameplay. Many compare it to Stalker, but aside from the setting, they are quite different. Chernobylite is a horror adventure with action elements, base, and team management. Black Myth: Wukong, a third-person action RPG based on traditional Chinese folklore. The game blends world exploration with challenging, Souls-like gameplay. It stands out for its realistic graphics powered by Unreal Engine 5, destructible environments, dynamic combat, and the ability to transform into different animals. The plot follows an ancient legend, where the hero embarks on a journey, battling various monsters, humans, and gods along the way. Avatar: Frontiers of Pandora, an open-world first-person adventure action game set in the Avatar universe. The story introduces a new chapter in the conflict between humans and the inhabitants of Pandora. You'll need to build your settlement and fight off invaders. Expect flying, a wide variety of weapons, and exploring the magical forest. The game world responds to your actions. While it carries the typical drawbacks of Ubisoft games, its fantastic sound, visuals, story, and flying mechanics are done exceptionally well. Definitely worth a try. The Outlast Trials, a cooperative spin-off of the famous horror series. Set during the Cold War, you participate in a mysterious experiment where scientists test new methods of brainwashing and mind control on unsuspecting volunteers. As you progress, you'll encounter not only nightmarish scenes but also other test subjects. The horror can be played solo or in co-op mode with up to 4 players. Soulstice, an action-packed fantasy RPG with hack-and-slash elements and a third-person perspective. The story follows 2 sisters who have become a chimera. One gains superhuman strength and stamina, while the other becomes a ghost with mystical abilities. The game offers a dynamic storyline, unique enemies, epic boss fights, special abilities of the sisters, and exploration of a dark world full of eerie secrets. Tales of Iron, a side-scrolling action-adventure RPG set in a fantasy world. You play as the heir to the Rat Throne, and your mission is to save the kingdom. As you travel through the unique fairy tale world, you'll meet colorful characters who will help you on your journey. The standout feature is its combat system, inspired by the Dark Souls series. Battles are tough and require careful strategy. You'll need to pay attention to colored attack indicators, block or dodge at the right moments. The variety of weapons and armor allows players to customize their fighting style, creating unique combinations for each battle. The world is also filled with quests and memorable characters. The Witcher series. Although I mention The Witcher often, it's impossible to leave it out of a list like this. Some may disagree, but for me, it's one of the most atmospheric game series out there. Each of the 3 parts has its own unique atmosphere that completely draws you into its remarkable world. The developers successfully brought the fictional universe to life on screens, preserving the distinct medieval charm and blending it with fantasy elements. BioShock series. Each game in the BioShock series brilliantly showcases the setting in which its story unfolds. Whether it's the underwater city of Rapture or the sky-high Columbia, the games completely immerse you in a dense atmosphere of decay and hopelessness, concealed behind a facade of luxury. Both the visual style and the plot contribute to this effect. Call of Cthulhu: Dark Corners of the Earth. Out of all games based on Lovecraft's works, this one is perhaps not the best, but certainly one of the most intriguing. It has a great story, decent gameplay, and most importantly, an outstanding atmosphere that grabs you almost immediately and keeps you hooked until the end. The scares don't come from sudden screams, but from quiet whispers around the corner. It's not the monster that jumps out at you, but the dead girl standing silently, covered in blood, staring at you. The ambience is crafted through character dialogues, well-designed locations, and eerie events. Dark Souls series. Anyone who has suffered in the dark worlds of Dark Souls will surely include them in their list of most atmospheric games. The enigmatic universe, full of untold mysteries, both attracts and terrifies, while the many monsters lurking in the shadows are always ready to punish an unwary traveler. Every installment in the Dark Souls series is known for its high difficulty, but those who manage to overcome all challenges will uncover an excellent story of a fallen world. Half-Life 2. The iconic shooter from Valve perfectly conveys the atmosphere of a dystopia. From the very first mission, you witness a decaying civilization, crushed under the weight of alien conquerors, with the last remnants of humanity desperately trying to survive, and even mounting a secret resistance against the occupiers. . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . Mafia 1 and 2. These two installments of a fantastic open-world third-person action adventure with driving simulator elements are prime examples of how to create atmospheric games. The developers masterfully recreated the spirit of the era and crafted a story that, even years later, can evoke nostalgia. Mafia is a truly human story that takes place in a vibrant and interesting world. Alien Isolation. A space station is the perfect setting for a good horror game. Just add a few rogue androids and one deadly alien that gives you almost no chance of survival, and you get one of the most terrifying and atmospheric games of recent years. Everything in this game contributes to the atmosphere: the iconic universe, recognizable environments, and terrifying enemies. Dishonored series. The Dishonored games combine stealth action and RPG elements. Both parts can be played quietly, in the best traditions of the stealth genre, or with fights, gunplay, and plenty of action scenes. The events take place in an incredibly atmospheric steampunk city, where the main character gains supernatural abilities and seeks revenge on the Crown's enemies while saving a princess. In the second part, you can choose between two characters, which affects the playstyle, the amount of action, and the level of violence. Alan Wake series. An atmospheric psychedelic action thriller from a third-person perspective with horror elements. It's one of the most immersive thrillers in the gaming industry, as if it came straight from the pages of a Stephen King novel. Small-town America and the creatures of darkness emerging at night make for a truly memorable adventure. While Alan Wake might not be as scary as other horror games, its ability to immerse you in its world is unrivaled by many competitors. Dead Space. A dark and bloody sci-fi third-person shooter with survival horror elements. The first game, released in 2008, evolved into a fantastic trilogy that plunged players into the terrifying atmosphere of spaceships and stations, where all crew members have turned into horrific monsters. After playing all three parts, I concluded that the first one remains the most atmospheric. Metro series. These are atmospheric post-apocalyptic shooters with survival elements. The games are set after a nuclear catastrophe, where the survivors are forced to hide in the metro, escaping radiation and mutants. The main storyline focuses on the protagonist, who tries to survive in this dangerous world while battling mutants and military factions. Each game in the Metro series is a journey through a highly atmospheric post-apocalyptic world. The first game, Metro 2033, drew attention for its dark atmosphere, focus on survival, and realistic mechanics like limited resources and the need to monitor gas mask filters. The second part, Last Light, continued the original story, adding more action and improving the visuals. The third game, Metro Exodus, differs from its predecessors with open locations, giving players more freedom to explore the world beyond the metro. Frostpunk series. A survival strategy about managing the last city on Earth in a harsh, cold apocalypse. As the leader of a small city, you must allocate energy, meet the needs of the citizens, and make tough, sometimes morally questionable decisions. Frostpunk 2 continues the theme of harsh survival in a frozen post-apocalyptic world. 30 years after the events of the first game, the city faces new challenges. Instead of mere survival, the goal now is to rebuild lost civilization. The city has grown, and players must tackle larger-scale tasks, managing entire districts rather than individual buildings, with thousands of residents under their care. Special attention is given to planning development, logistics, resource management, and heat supply. Firewatch. Walking simulators are a unique genre of video games where players perform minimal actions and simply follow the storyline. There are many atmospheric projects in this genre, and I chose Firewatch, the story of a lookout on one of the Firewatch towers in a forest, who, by chance, gets caught up in mysterious and unsettling events. The national park setting is a very atmospheric place, both beautiful and eerily desolate. Resident Evil 7 Biohazard. This game brought the series back to its roots, reinvigorating the survival horror genre with fresh scares. The shift to a first-person perspective and the use of an updated engine made the game more intense and cinematic. The improved graphics, realistic animations, and heightened atmosphere of fear and tension added to its impact. The gameplay combines exploration, puzzle solving, and a constant sense of resource scarcity. The game maintains a fine balance between exploring claustrophobic, terrifying locations and fighting enemies. Each member of the Crazy Baker family will leave a lasting impression on you. Creepy Tales series. This is a dark adventure inspired by the Grimm brothers' fairy tales. Set in a nameless kingdom, the protagonist embarks on a journey to rescue his younger sister from evil forces. This is a series of atmospheric quests that immerse players in grim worlds. A unique feature of the series is its distinctive visual style, reminiscent of illustrations in children's fairy tales, but with eerie and dark elements. Sally Face. This game is a touching and shocking detective story mixed with horror and mysticism. The protagonist is accused of multiple murders and, before sentencing, tells his true story to psychologists and journalists, a story that is hard to believe. Demons, ghosts, aliens, cultists, parallel realities, and a heavy drama surrounding the main character's tragic fates. This game has it all. Fran Bow. A psychedelic adventure clearly not intended for children. The protagonist, a young girl, loses her parents and ends up in a psychiatric asylum where the methods of treatment are far from productive, causing her to see nightmares constantly. She must escape the asylum and reach the only place she can call home, her aunt's mansion. The game contains many horror elements, but the gameplay follows the typical point-and-click style. Players move between locations, interact with characters, and solve simple puzzles. The Medium, a memorable horror game with elements of detective work and fantasy, along with a superb storyline. The game takes place in a hotel and its surrounding area. You play as a medium trying to uncover the truth about yourself and a recurring dream in which a girl is killed. While the plot may seem slow and unclear at first, everything starts to fall into place mid-game, and the ending evokes a lot of emotions with its unexpected twists. The game's key feature is the split-screen mechanic, showcasing two worlds, the real and the otherworldly, where actions in one affect the other. Darkwood, a survival game set in a forest and a great horror experience, with both components equally strong. You find yourself in a creepy forest full of dangers at every turn. By day, your task is to gather as many supplies as possible, as when night falls, the true horror begins. The forest is unfriendly even during the day, but at night, all the inhabitants, including supernatural entities, go mad with bloodlust. Little Nightmares 2, a horror game where you dive into the story of a 9-year-old boy with a paper bag on his head. Throughout the game, he is accompanied by Six, the protagonist of the first part. Both characters find themselves in Pale City, a crumbling metropolis filled with distorted buildings, constant rain, darkness, and fog. You'll face numerous enemies and solve various puzzles. Kentucky Route Zero. At first glance, this game looks like a simple point-and-click adventure with vector graphics, but upon closer inspection, it becomes clear that there are no puzzles or inventories. The focus is on clicking key points on the screen and choosing dialogue options. The main emphasis is on the story and atmosphere. It's an excellent game that might be a small revelation for many players. The plot intrigues from the start and often delivers unexpected surprises. Valiant Hearts, The Great War, an unusual war game in the genre of an adventure puzzle platformer. This title presents a truly touching story, perfect stylistics, atmosphere, and a carefully curated collection of historical facts. The game tells the story of 5 people who lived through the First World War, focusing not on super soldiers shooting enemies left and right but on ordinary people. It touches on many profound and philosophical themes and excellently reveals the role of a common person in war. Singularity, a first-person sci-fi shooter set on a secret island where a team of Marines, including the protagonist, is sent. He must uncover the island's dark secrets and use a time-altering device to travel through time, prevent a catastrophe, and change the present. Depending on your actions, the game can have 3 different endings. Inquisitor Martyr, the most atmospheric game in the Warhammer universe, where you explore dark corridors of spaceships and the vast landscapes of distant planets teeming with enemies. Martyr offers an expansive campaign with space travel, brutal battles, cooperative play, character progression to suit your playstyle, and a detailed crafting system. Darksiders 2. The second part of the series focuses on Death, a fast and agile character, bringing dynamic combat and acrobatics to the game. Players journey through different worlds, complete quests, solve puzzles, and level up their hero, choosing equipment and improving abilities. RPG elements are introduced, allowing exploration of vast environments and collecting useful items from enemies. In addition to fast-paced combat, there are puzzles, character progression, and other features that fans of the series love. Doom and Doom Eternal. In 2016, after a long break caused by the disappointing Doom 3, the series made a comeback, with stunning graphics and much more terrifying monsters. The animation and gameplay were far superior to all previous entries. Most importantly, the gameplay became more extensive, giving us the chance to fully immerse ourselves in the Doom universe. If you haven't played these games yet, now is the perfect time to dive in and slice through demons with maximum detail. Playing any game from this list will likely leave a lasting impression on you for a long time. Of course, many atmospheric games couldn't make it onto the list, but if you'd like to see a continuation of this topic, write in the comments about games you think deserve a mention. To participate in the giveaway, like the video, subscribe to the channel, and leave a comment. Winners will be chosen randomly, and I'll announce them in the next video. This was the Image Game channel with you. Have a great day.